This is Israel's greatest weapon against Iran. While missile strikes dominate the headlines, the true game-changer lies underwater. Israel's newest submarines, armed with devastating capabilities, are poised to shift the balance of power in the Middle East. The world expects the next move to come from the skies, but Israel's submarines are preparing for something much more dangerous, and Iran knows it. But why are these submarines so critical now? To understand their rising importance, we first need to look at what's happening in the region, especially the escalating tensions over Saudi Arabia. Right now, both Iran and Israel stood nose to nose with each other, allowing everyone around them to throw the first strikes into something much more direct. All pretense has been shed and haymakers are officially being thrown, as both sides make their opening moves with missile attacks. Even then, Iran knows Israel is holding back, and now that they've started to sweat, they've actually resorted to threatening other countries in the region. They're assuring these countries that if they help Israel, then they'll start an all-out war. And by help, Iran doesn't just mean military aid or diplomatic pressure, but even allowing the use of their airspace for Israeli missiles to move through. This seems to be working. You see, Israel faces a significant challenge in planning any retaliation against Iran without causing regional uproar. Most Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, have refused to allow Israeli jets or missiles to pass through their airspace, fearing retaliation from Iran's proxies. Because of this, minds have started to stray towards other avenues that Israel could attack from, like international waters, where Israel's most powerful deterrent lies hidden beneath the waves. It's submarines. So what makes these submarines so frightening that it even has Iran's top military minds shaking in their boots? Just looking at Israel's Dolphin and Dolphin-class submarines, it is not immediately clear. So let's open her up and let's see what's got everyone in a bind. With the Dolphin-class submarines being around 190 feet long and 22 feet wide, and with a crew of 30 people, these submarines are rather small compared to the crew of 134 on a U.S. fast attack submarine, aren't they? And the Dolphin-class subs are just a tad bit bigger, being 225 feet long with a crew of 35. Well, these subs may be small, but that works to their advantage as they're built and outfitted with German technology. These submarines use diesel-electric engines to maneuver both quickly and quietly, with top speeds of up to 25 knots, which is close to 30 miles per hour. These submarines are both fast and incredibly quiet, rendering these subs undetectable by most of the world, not to mention Iran's current military technology. And with their air-independent propulsion systems, they can stay submerged for up to 14 days without surfacing, making them perfect for covert operations in hostile waters, such as the Persian Gulf. Where's the dangerous bits, I hear you say? Well, each one of these bad boys are fitted with 10 torpedo tubes on the front, which can fire anything from wire-guided torpedoes to mines and even harpoon anti-ship missiles. But just that by itself isn't enough to scare, silly. No. So combine these silent engines with the deadly Popeye turbo missiles believed to be capable of carrying nuclear warheads, and these submarines just became the Grim Reapers, giving Israel a second strike capability in the event of a catastrophic attack, ensuring a mutual destruction with whoever hit Israel at the very least. And did I mention that each submarine can launch 16 of these 200-kiloton nuclear warheads? Well, Israel has 5 of them, for a total of 80 nuclear warheads that it can launch at a time. Just a reminder here that a 200-kiloton warhead will light up the sky with a fireball 1 mile wide, something that most people have a hard time imagining, let alone witnessing. And outside of that 1 mile blast zone, well, anything within 3 miles of the point of detonation will be utterly annihilated. A severe radiation zone 8 miles wide, with lesser effects felt all the way out to 92 miles from the point of impact. In other words, mass destruction. With Israel being able to launch 80 of these from their submarine fleet, you can see why Iran would be apprehensive, to say the very least. While these submarines can remain hidden for weeks, they aren't just passive threats held back just in case. They also can strike first, hitting critical targets deep inside Iran. Talk about a crazy strong sucker punch. But what could these submarines target inside Iran if the conflict escalates further? What would be worth using one of these checkmates? Well, one of the most likely targets would be Iran's own nuclear infrastructure, including the Natanz Enrichment Facility, the Esfahan Nuclear Technology Center, and the Fordow nuclear plant. And despite most of Iran's nuclear facilities being stationed deep underground, not all of them are. And with 80 nuclear warheads of this caliber, nothing is impossible to reach for Israel. These sites are key to Iran's nuclear ambitions. And just one Israeli submarine could deliver a soul-crushing blow if given the opportunity and go-ahead, setting back Iran's nuclear program by years, ensuring Israel won't have to fear Iran getting nukes anytime soon, which is something Iran can ill afford if it wants to get rid of Israel or even be able to push back against other world superpowers. Yet another tempting target would be Iran's oil export facilities, particularly those in the Persian Gulf, as they are crucial to Iran's economy. It would be incredibly easy to target any one of these facilities or even some of the oil fields themselves, as they are basically an all-you-can-eat buffet with how many there are stretching from the midpoint of the Iran-Iraq border all the way down to the Persian Gulf coastline. Look at it all. Over 100 oil fields and 200 oil reservoirs alone. There are even around 40 gas fields and almost 100 gas reservoirs mixed in amongst these as well. So many targets, so little in the ways that Iran can adequately defend all of them. And here we have Karg Island Terminal, which is Iran's main oil export facility, with some others being the Abadan Refinery and the Mashashar Oil Terminal. In a time where there is mounting social unrest within the country for multiple reasons, some being the treatment of its own people by the Iranian government, and one being its troubled economy amidst the sanctions. A well-placed strike from one of these submarines could cripple Iran's ability to either gather these natural resources or export them, further tipping the country towards economic collapse and likely more revolts. A third target for Israel's attack fleet of submarines could just as well be strategic military sites like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps missile bases that are responsible for launching ballistic missiles at Israel in the first place, like the Imam Ali missile base in Karamabad. At the very least, they could target air defenses that could stop future Israeli attacks. With the ability to strike Iran's most valuable and guarded assets, Israel's submarine attack fleet creates an unmatched level of fear and apprehension, ensuring that Iran's leadership must always second-guess their next move. But the true power of these submarines lies not just in their firepower. It's the uncertainty and expectation that they create that truly keeps Iran in check. These submarines are a real sword of Damocles for Iran, where they know something bad will likely happen at any second. With Iran having no idea where these Grim Reapers are or where they're aiming at, they have to keep much of their military in reserve to help deal with any potential attacks from them. Crippled by their paranoia and inability to tell what moves in the dark, their war efforts against Israel suffer immeasurably, to the point that their proxy in their war against Israel, Hezbollah, is losing ground and leaders to Israel without having much to show in return. And that was all before a new beast entered the Israeli fleet. How could anything possibly change the future of this conflict when Israel already has such an ace up their sleeve? Enter Israel's latest submarine, the INS Drakon, or the Dragon, rumored to have new capabilities, including a vertical launch system and the ability to deploy special forces covertly. The vertical launch system in the expanded sail, which looks like a massive fin on the top of this submarine, gives the Drakon versatility and even more firepower, as the missile silos inside are large enough to house higher-yield nuclear warheads than the rest of the fleet, and allows the Drakon to simultaneously both have nukes ready as retaliation and still use the other silos for even more nukes, missiles, or even covert deployment of the special forces on board. The Dragon can have its cake and eat it too. letting it always be ready to launch a nuclear warhead, rain or shine, even if it's busy launching Mossad and covert strikes against Iranian targets, or even setting up mines with the rest of the fleet in the Persian Gulf. This new addition to the fleet only heightens Israel's ability to project power, ensuring that Iran remains overly cautious in any future engagement. In the end, Israel's submarine fleet isn't just a massive weapon, it's a strategic game changer, keeping Iran on its toes and preventing the conflict from spiraling into an all-out war. Bye for now.